What up? What up? What up? It's the Funk Dr. Spock back in the building with Coach E from Milestones Baseball Analytics with another episode of CT Baseball Live. Coach E, what's going on?
Hey, what up, Coach? Peace to everybody out there in the baseball community.
Well, it's been an interesting couple of weeks, Coach.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. We may as well just get right into it, Coach, because we got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9 games. It looked like that we have to recap.
Wow. So where would we like to start first?
Let's start with Lakeland.
Okay.
That was back on May 10th. So it's been 18 days since we did a show.
Right. So Cass Tech varsity technicians defeated by the Lakeland Eagles 5-3 on Saturday, May 10th.
Okay, so real quick, because we're gonna have to run through these, Coach. That is the game where early in the game, the home plate umpire was squeezing Kyle. He was not giving Kyle the pitches generally that high school umpires give good pitchers. Um, Kyle pitched well enough for us to win that game, and we simply didn't hit. We could only amass 3 hits in that game. And that was the key. We lost that game 5-3. Kyle pitched well enough for us to win. He did give up a few hits. He had 7 Ks. They were squeezing him early, and they had got a couple of runs early in the game. We kind of found our balance, but we never were able to put together enough hits to take the lead. And that was the game.
Okay, then we have Monday, May 12th. We have a non-conference matchup with Allen Park at Allen Park. Uh, the,
Absolutely.
Cat, the Cass Tech varsity technicians lost that game 6-5.
Before we talk about Allen Park, I just wanted to express the gratitude to Lakeland for scheduling us every year, driving down to Detroit and making a weekend of it. They go to a Tigers game, they go hang out, they go do some other things, they do some family stuff, and then they always play us. They always give us a good game. So shout out to Lakeland and their coaching staff.
Absolutely. It was just a great, weekend of baseball. It was beautiful out there at Belle Isle. And it was what baseball was supposed to be about. It was family, and it was some great, great high school action and some really, really stout pitching.
Yeah. And still, well, we'll talk about that at the end of the show. But going back to that Allen Park game, Allen Park played a good baseball game, but we were in complete control of that game for the majority of that game. Juan pitched really, really well. And the difference in that game was a 2-run homer. And the reason why I say that was the difference in the game is because Juan gave that home run up on an 0-2 pitch. And he had started to get the ball up in that part of the lineup, and he left the pitch up on 0-2 that pitch should have been bounced, or it should have been something that could not be hit well. And Juan will be the first person to tell you, because he has been one of our best arms all season. He will be the first person to tell you that he left that pitch up and it was a mistake. That was the difference in that game for me. But we know that Allen Park is a good program, and we know that we are right there with them. We are as good as anybody, or better than anyone we have played all season. Tip our hats to Allen Park for continuing to fight, scratch, and claw in that game, but we were in control of that game for the majority of it. But as they always say, you have to play until you get the last out.
Absolutely. Kyle Terry had a really stout game that day,
Mm-hmm.
and he reached a milestone in his career by achieving his 100th stolen base.
Yeah, shout out to Kyle for that.
Absolutely. So now We're at Wednesday, May 14th, senior night.
Yeah.
Juan Torres' big day propels Cass Tech varsity technicians past the Taylor varsity Griffins.
Interestingly enough, it was two juniors that put in the most work in that game. Taylor got off the bus with the intent on spoiling senior night. Because I don't know if you remember, Coach, but they jumped out and scored about 3 or 4 runs in the first inning. And their number 4 hitter, the big guy, number 24, hit a massive moonshot to straightaway center field. And
Yeah,
so they jumped out like 4-0. We end up winning that game 15-10 in a high scoring affair, but that speaks to our resilience and Cass Tech baseball's never say die attitude. Kumasi and Juan both collected 4 hits in that game. Two of our big time juniors got us back in that game with some timely hitting and driving in some runs. But a shout out to Taylor for not coming to just let it be the average senior day, coming to play spoiler. And we had to put up a number of runs in order to get the W in this one.
absolutely. Junior Kyrie Kumasi has been huge for us this year.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now we have our playoff game against Renaissance for the PSL City Championship. Jordan Spencer's clutch hitting propels Cass Tech varsity technicians to victory over the Renaissance varsity Phoenix.
Yeah, so that game was lopsided from the get go. And what Cass Tech was able to display is that while we had a game with Renaissance earlier in the season that where it was a 2-run difference, a 5-3 ball game where Renaissance played us tough, that we Cass Tech, the boys wanted to show that they were the superior team. So they didn't take their foot off the gas against Renaissance. They wanted to make sure that the Renaissance players knew and understood who the big boys still were on the block. Our 6, 7, and 8 hitters in that game, our 6, 7, 8 hitters in that game hit very well. And at the bottom of our lineup drove in a good number of runs, but the hits were coming from everywhere. So there was no one hero in this game. This was what we call a beat down by committee, and this game was over before it started.
Absolutely. There
But
was
shout out to Renaissance because they had a great season. They had a great season.
absolutely, yeah. It was kind of like bombs over Baghdad for a minute because Kyle the Plug Terry hit a 2-run homer, as well
Yep.
as Jordan Spencer hitting a grand slam.
Mm-hmm.
So they did not take their foot off the gas, and they made it very clear that they were trying to get back to Comerica.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, that was the one thing I do remember. This wasn't one of those blowouts where there were a lot of walks. We hit them into submission. We
Yes,
hit them into submission. So, so we tip our cap to our boys for being relentless, for not letting up on those boys.
absolutely. So we go into Monday, which is a championship night for the PSL, the Blue Division Championship, with the defending PSL champions. They were going for 15 in a row and setting a big precedent in PSL history. So we have to understand how big this matchup was and understanding what this championship meant to Western as well as them competing for a state championship. Cass Tech.
Coach, not to cut you off, but the Farmington doubleheader before those, then we left out the Farmington doubleheaders.
Okay, yeah. That was prom night, correct?
That was prom night where all of our seniors were absent, and we went to war with our juniors and our sophomores and a couple of freshmen. So game one we lost 11-10. So, but before we talk about that, there was some shoddy officiating in both games. The games were windy, relatively cold, and it would appear that the officials didn't want to be out there. And shoddy officiating is an understatement in this game. Just to be clear, there were grievances filed against the officials in these two games. So, with that being said, game one, we lost 11-10. This was probably Juan's worst outing. And Juan was in control of this game at times, but Juan eventually, the numbers don't lie. Juan gave up 10 hits, something that he hadn't done all season and something that he has not done since. And so it just wasn't a good day for us. Now, with that being said, to Juan's credit, some of those hits may not have been hits had all of our seniors been in place and we had the right personnel intact. Because sometimes a hit is something that drops in that may not drop in if the right personnel groupings are on the field. So, in support of Juan, he was pitching with some of his younger personnel behind him. They weren't making errors, but some of those hits we think could have been taken away. But nonetheless, we gave up too many runs in a high scoring affair, and we lost to Farmington at Farmington. This is a team we normally handle Farmington, and I think with a full roster, we win both of these games going away.
Correct.
Yeah. And then game two, we lost 7-6. More of the same. Chris Hooper, who has been big on the mound and at the plate for us, he gave up 10 hits as well, Coach. He did have 11 strikeouts. And so it was an up and down game for him. I think the defense didn't help him enough as well. But the numbers don't lie. We gave up multiple hits to a team that normally I think we would handle if all of our personnel was there.
Correct.
1-run games. And actually, one of those games was over. Our shortstop fielded the ball clean, threw it over the first, beat the player by a step. They didn't call him out. They called him safe. The inning goes on, and we ended up losing that game. And so we closed out game two for certain. The officials didn't see it that way, left the game open, and eventually we let that one slip away. But that's the way that baseball goes. You have to just move on and get ready for the next one, which we did. The championship game at Western, the PSL championship at Comerica. Go ahead, Coach.
Cass Tech ends Detroit Western's run of 15 straight PSL baseball championships. Kyle Terry made the most of his opportunities to play in a MLB stadium Monday at Comerica Park, putting a show on the mound to help Detroit Cass Tech end Detroit Western's 15-year run of PSL baseball championships. Terry, a senior right-hander, gave up just one run while striking out four, keeping Western's powerful lineup off balance all night in a 6-1 PSL Blue Division Championship game win. It was wonderful to watch. Unbelievable, said Coach Melvin Jackson, whose team averaged two earlier losses to Western, 19-7-2 on the year, before handing it its lone league loss when it mattered the most. We didn't show our hand early against them, lost twice to them by a couple of runs. We knew we had an ace in the hole in Terry, and it was magical watching him. All of his pitches were working, and our sophomore catcher Zion Finley did a great job working with him. They couldn't pick up his breaking ball, and he has a sneaky fastball. PSL Athletic Director Jay Alexander, who was head baseball coach at Eastern Michigan University from 2008 to 2014, was surprised by the outcome and proud of how baseball is improving in the PSL. Terry came up big, was real efficient, kept the batters off balance, and kept throwing strikes. And Western is one of the top hitting teams in the state, too, Alexander said. Western had won 15 straight PSL titles, and Cass Tech worked hard to get its chance. It's a it's good for the league. It's a good rivalry. It was a great game to see. Junior first baseman Juan Torres was the hero for Cass Tech, 15 and 8, going 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs, while the shortstop Jordan Spencer and right fielder Christopher Hooper, 3 runs scored, also put on strong performances. Terry helped himself by going 1 for 4 with a run scored. It's been so long since we've won in baseball, and now I'm telling everyone that Cass is a baseball school, not football or basketball, said Jackson. Taking pride in the PSL title and knowing Cass Tech will long be known for its football and basketball, winning the Division I state title in basketball in 2023 and in football this past fall. Kyle Terry has improved by leaps and bounds since his freshman year. He knows he's special and has special support behind him. Western has a great coaching staff, but this was one turn and we still have more to do. The state tournament gets underway after Memorial Day, and defeating a team like Western has to go a long way for Cass Tech's confidence. Western defeated Birmingham Brother Rice 10-6 on April 9th and Heartland 4-3 on April 12th, and had a close loss to Orchard Lake St. Mary 6-5 April 23rd.
So there's a few things that jump out at me in this game. First of all, Kyle's pitch mix and his strategy for keeping the Western hitters off balance was excellent, was executed with pure perfection. Juan driving in 3 runs, he stepped up big. He was big time for us. And then the 2 sophomores, the lights weren't too big. Zion played excellent defense behind the plate, blocking baseballs, calling a good game. And I also I want to send a shout out to Emmett, which is something I normally don't do, but he really showed poise and composure playing good defense at the hot corner, even though he traditionally plays in the middle of the infield, doing what the coaching staff is asking of him under any circumstances, trying to help this team win. So those 2 sophomores showed a lot of poise. And I was thoroughly impressed with Zion's work behind the plate. 1 pass ball all game. I was impressed with Juan's hitting, and I was impressed with how Kyle handled that game on the mound. He controlled that entire game, and what we call these days, he shoved it. He definitely shoved that ball right up Western.
He's definitely showing true grit. He's no nonsense type of guy. He just goes out there and does what he needs to do. Um, he's a player that, plays like he's been there before. You know what I mean? So in big time moments, he's the guy that we go to and we believe in him.
Absolutely. And then I also will say that we don't really have much time to kind of enjoy this PSL championship because we will be playing Western in all likelihood again on Friday for the district championship. So
Correct.
we have an opportunity to end Western season.
Correct.
So
So
we still have work to do. And I'm
yeah,
sure that our boys are looking forward to it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So now we go to Wednesday, May 21st. The Cass Tech Varsity Technicians and the University Liggett Varsity Knights tie 8-8.
Well, a few things jump out at me in this game. First of all, I want to say that Liggett has talent. I'm not sure how well coached they are because it appears that the coaching staff allows them to do some things that we consider Bush League. There were multiple instances in this game where I felt as if the players were allowed to verbally overstep the boundaries of respect and honor in the game of baseball. I can go as far as to say the families of these young men should be ashamed of their behavior on the field. But I want to talk about the game first, and then I'm going to come back to that. So our 2, 3, 4, 5 hitters carried us that game. They all had multiple hits. We controlled this game through 5 innings. It was a rainy, cold, balmy day, and Juan Torres pitched a really good game. He had 8 Ks in this game. He was masterful and controlled this game for the majority. It wasn't until the weather started to take hold, he started to cool off a little bit, that we had to get him out of there, and then we had to make some adjustments. They were able to get a few runs, and they were able to keep that game close. And one of the strategies that they used was to continue to scream when the pitcher was working through his motion and delivering pitches to home plate. Now, some people may say, well, the pitcher has to be mentally tough. I don't disagree with that, but there is an unwritten rule in youth and amateur sports from the high school level down, because collegiate teams don't do this because we call it Bush League, where you don't scream when the pitcher is delivering the baseball. You can root for your player while the pitcher is while the pitcher is getting set, while he's getting ready to get started. But once he gets ready to deliver the baseball, you should not be screaming. They were screaming and shaking the fence and making derogatory statements, using language that is inappropriate for high school players to use during the actual matchup. The umpires, the officials would not get them under control. And I feel as if the umpires allowed this game to completely get out of hand verbally on the Liggett side. Liggett's coaching staff, their administration, their president of the school, their athletic director should all be ashamed of the language that Liggett was using and in the context in which they were using it. And if you don't know what they were saying, ask your players. And because it's not even respectable for me to repeat it on this podcast because this is a family show. But it was sickening, and they should be completely ashamed of themselves. And the parents spend too much money to send those children to that school to allow them to behave in that manner. So I tip my cap to the Cass Tech boys for not matching that energy. Something else that I will say is that something that I normally wouldn't say is that there were a few players on our side hit in that game. And I normally wouldn't say this, but I am not certain that the pitching staff for Liggett was not instructed to hit our guys. And the reason why I say that is because if you're allowing players to say some of the things that the players were saying in the dugout and acting as if you don't hear it, why would I assume that you have honor, class, and integrity when it comes to how the game is played at the high school level in any capacity? So I'm not saying for certain that the pitchers got instructions to hit our boys late in the game, but it seemed like it to me. And that's just the way that I feel about it. And whoever's offended, just catch me in traffic. Or let's schedule a game next year and let's talk about it pregame. And so in that game, we were up 5-3 going into the final inning. We knew we wouldn't play in the final inning. It was just getting too cold and rainy. I'm of the opinion that the coaching staff for Liggett assumed, or they had already assumed the loss. It was cold. They weren't really hitting that well. And it was a 3-run deficit. So they figured maybe we plunk a few guys on our way out of the door to get some of our get back. They ended up tying the game, and we ended up ending the game in an 8-8 tie. It was not. I'm sure it wasn't one of the brighter moments for Liggett this season. And from what I understand, this is not the first time that they've behaved this way during a baseball game. So that's my take on that. And if anybody saw it any differently, feel free to inbox me and tell me what you saw.
We always talk about playing gentleman baseball and playing the game the right way. It was definitely some things that were unethical and should not have happened. And we just have to do better. And that's all we're going to say about that.
Yeah. Something else that I will say is that there's an obvious double standard there, because had Cass Tech boys came out there and behaved in the exact same manner, I think it may have been news articles written about it. But we'll save that for another day.
Right. That's a whole new show.
Yep, absolutely. So we moved on to the E-Course game in the
Yeah.
Motor City Classic, brought to you by Black Baseball Media and the Detroit Tigers.
And Full Count Foundation. Um, Jordan Spencer, a difficult out as Cass Tech varsity technicians defeat E-Course varsity Red Raiders 5-3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good game. First and foremost, I tip my cap to Drew Covington. He got that program over there in E-Course looking real good. They're coming along. They got some good young players over there. That Chandler kid is nice. The Carl kid is nice. They got KJ over there, one of the kids that come train with us in the winter. They got Jefferson De La Cruz, who actually pitched in that game. That Jefferson De La Cruz has a live arm, coach.
Yes.
He has a real live arm. Cass Tech varsity technicians are hitting 354 on the season. So we don't care about velo. As a team, we're hitting 354. We don't care about velo. If you're throwing 85, 87, 90, we hit velo. That's the bottom line. But that Jefferson De La Cruz is a good pitcher. He's a good pitcher. And that's the best respect that I can give him. Again, Kyle pitched that game. Kyle shoved it. They weren't able to catch up to Kyle's fastball. He was blowing fastballs by those boys all day and keeping them off balance with the curveball. Kyle dominated their entire lineup for the most part. And Jordan had 3 hits on the day. And that was the game.
Kyle is continuing to show why he's all city, why he's in the 100 club when it comes to 100 career hits, 100 stolen bases, and 100 RBIs. Definitely big consideration for all district as well as all state honors, as well as all academic. So he's doing it on the field as well as in the classroom. And this kid is just awesome, man.
Absolutely.
So
that was
we also
that was a good game. That was a good game.
And we also had not only our all city selections from the PSL and Kyle, Terry, Jordan, Spencer, and Chris Hooper. And we also had the all city selections from the Full Count Foundation and Kyle, Terry, Jordan, Spencer, Chris Hooper, and Juan Torres.
Well deserved. Well deserved. All of the young men who were all city selections, it was well deserved.
Yes.
So congratulations to all those young men.
Absolutely. So now the district tournament has started. We had a game on Tuesday against Dearborn Fortson,
Hmm.
and we had a perfect game thrown by Juan Torres.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Juan has 6 strikeouts in the game. And people say perfect game, he only had 6 strikeouts. Well, the game only went 3 innings. So it wasn't, he didn't face many batters. He might have faced 10, he might have faced 9 batters. He may have walked one. Oh no, he didn't even walk anybody. He had a perfect game. So he just basically got 9 hitters out. 3 guys put the ball in play, soft contact. Juan was masterful on the mound. He's been big for us all year. He's been our 1B arm. And we scored 15 runs in that game. And people would say, well, Dearborn Fortson is not a good team. But Dearborn Fortson actually put a very solid pitcher on the mound in that game. He threw strikes. His velo wasn't overpowering, but it was good enough. Again, Cass Tech is a team that's hitting 354 on the season. So if you are not the elite of throwers, we are probably going to hammer you. And that's the bottom line. Our 5, 6, 7 hitters drove in 10 of our 15 runs. That's Juan Torres, Jelani Jabari, and Emmett Mitchell drove in 10 of the 14 runs that we had. So I tip my cap to our middle bottom because they did a job in round one of the districts, which is good because we need that momentum going into Friday. We'll play University Prep, which is a game that we expect to win because their program is just now developing, and it's set up for us to play at 3 p.m. game against Western at Western.
Yeah, Kyle the Plug Terry had a huge game in the district.
Oh,
Uh, with
two
two
triples.
triples and a double. So Jelani Jabari went 3 for 3. He was solid. It's a lot of bombs over Baghdad again when it comes to us just, doing the things that we supposed to do. One thing about this CT team, they can hit the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So now we also have to mention our seniors' destinations.
Okay.
So we have Jordan Spencer has committed to Tuskegee University to play baseball. We have Kyle the Plug Terry is going to Russ College to play baseball, academics. Devon Juice Madison will be going to Morehouse. And we have Jacob Johnson, and he'll be going to Alma, correct?
Yep. Alma College.
Alma College.
Yep.
Congratulations to our seniors. You have been doing phenomenal, phenomenal things. We are very, very proud of you as a village and continue to do great things.
Hey, Cass Tech has produced another great set of seniors, and we're not done yet. We're on the road to Lansing, and it starts on Friday. Well, it continues on Friday in the district tournament.
That's going to be, it starts at 10 o'clock. It's going to be at Clark Park. That's Western's home field. It's on Clark Street. Please come out. Please support. And watch the revenge tour continue to roll on. This is the Funk Doctor Spock and Coach E from Milestone Baseball Analytics saying peace and have an abundantly blessed evening.
All right, get up with y'all on the next one.
Take care.